Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Hello, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the GSMC Football Podcast. I am your host, Kayvon. As always, the GSMC Football Podcast is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Go check it out. It's a great network. A lot of great content. Seriously, you can check it out at any content or any podcast platform you can think of. Spotify, YouTube, Apple, you name it, you can find it. But of course, always come back and check us out here. GSMC Football Podcast. Your boy Kayvon Izami. Look, so much on the plate today, as you all know. I mean, Tuesday, February 26th, episode 49 here for us, the big 49. Super pumped up to have done 49 shows with you guys so far. For you guys that have been with us from the start, we love you, we thank you, and it truly does mean the world to us that you stuck with us throughout this time. For those of you that have jumped on board recently, we love you, we thank you, and it means a bunch to us that you're jumping on board now. It's never too late. The ratings have been up. The comments we get are great. The DMs I get, the stuff that you guys want me to talk about, it's all been fantastic. I really appreciate it. As we wind down this great football season, one game left, ladies and gentlemen. One football game left. We made it. We were with you all the way till the start when we didn't know if we were going to have a football season, and we brought you all the way here to now where we have one game left. And it's pretty remarkable, right? In a year with so much unfortunate, so much tragedy, really just so much sadness, we were able to get in a football season. And I say we like I'm a part of the NFL, and that's wrong. I shouldn't say that, because the everybody involved in the NFL deserves so much credit. So much credit. And I know I say this almost every time I'm on, I feel like, but it's so true. It really is remarkable to think about. I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic here, ladies and gentlemen, and somehow the NFL got in every single football game. It's a win. This season is a win. And to top it all off, they got the matchup that they wanted so much. This is the Super Bowl matchup, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the first team ever, the first team in the history of the NFL to play in their home stadium for the Super Bowl. As we all know, the Super Bowl will be in Tampa this year. So Tom Brady goes to Tampa, and his first year ever in a new system after 20 years with the same coach, with the same system, the same scheme, the same place. He goes to a whole different environment, a whole different coach, a whole different system, a whole new place, and he takes him to the Super Bowl in 1 year. We're going to talk all about Tom Brady. We're going to talk about what he did on Sunday. We're going to talk about what this means to his legacy, whether he wins the Super Bowl or not. We're going to talk about what this means for Bill Bellichek and the Patriots. It's just remarkable. But back to the NFL, this is what they wanted. This is what CBS wanted. And as long as you're not a Packers or a Bills fan, this is what you should have wanted too. Because not only are you getting the two best teams, in my opinion, the two most complete teams as of now. Doesn't mean they had to be the most complete teams all throughout season. But look, the Packers, we're going to get into this. They probably should have won that game on Sunday if they didn't make so many mistakes. But right now, the Tampa Bay Bucks are the most complete team from the AFC. The Kansas City Chiefs, they are by far the most complete team in the AFC. Okay? So this matchup, while it's hype and while it has its great storylines, this matchup is right. These are the two best teams when it's all said and done. You got two defenses that are playing great. You got two offenses that are just fireworks on both sides of the ball, Tampa Bay and Kansas City. And you have two quarterbacks, one who is the greatest quarterback of all time, and two who is probably the greatest young quarterback of all time. Definitely the most accomplished young quarterback of all time. And he's looking to add 2 Super Bowls onto his resume before turning 26 years old. That's remarkable. You know, it's a whole different ball game when you get into the category of 1 Super Bowl to 2 Super Bowls, right? There's a lot of people out there with 1 Super Bowls. There's a very small number of people with 2 Super Bowls. And then there's a really, really small number of people with more than 2 Super Bowls. And one of those is the person that Patrick Mahomes will be going up against. And that will be Tom Brady. It's a matchup for the ages. It really is a matchup for the ages. CBS is happy, NFL is happy, and I am happy, and so should you guys as well. So we have 2 weeks to break down that matchup, and we will break it down left and right, inside and out. I mean, before this game kicks off in 2 weeks, there will be no stone that was not turned over. Okay, every single stone will be turned over when it comes to breaking down this matchup, the storylines, the petty storylines, the football storylines. We're going to have it all here like we do. So a lot to get into there as we go. This show is going to be about a couple different things. We're going to really talk about the Packers and the Bills, okay? What did they do wrong? Okay, what did they do wrong? Why are they not in this Super Bowl game? We're going to talk about the Bucs and the Chiefs. What did they do right? We're going to talk about some more head coaching hires that are either happened or about to happen since the last time we talked. We're going to talk about some quarterbacks that are on the move now that it's official. Matthew Stafford, Detroit, they are parting ways. Deshaun Watson, he still wants out. We're going to dive into all of that. But before we get into anything, and we're going to start off the show with Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers and the Matt LaFleur. And I want you guys to stick around for this because I'm going to have a different take on the whole situation that happened to Green Bay on Sunday than what you guys have been hearing across all of your sports media outlets. Everyone that loves sports, they all have their shows, right? We all have our shows that we love to listen to, watch, all that stuff. I've noticed, because I like to tune into a lot of these different shows to get a good feel on what the narrative is, right? What's the big topic going around? And I noticed for some reason, you know, because as I tell you guys all the time, when I watch these games, I take notes, right? I have this little pen pad next to me, this little pen, and this notebook, I guess, for lack of a better word. I don't know why I was looking for a big word there, but this notebook here in front of me, and I take little notes, like little bullet points, right? And what I wrote down during that game and after that game, I came to find out on Monday and today that no one is really talking about the way I looked at this game, the way that I saw this game. And it's got me confused. I just don't understand it. So we're going to get into that, okay, in just 1 second. But before we get into football talk, I want to open up the show here with this, all right? Because for all of you that know, I want to talk about Kobe Bryant here for a moment, okay? And I know this is a football show, but you know, being a football show, it actually made me want to talk about him even more because Kobe was so much more than just a basketball player. He was revered. He was admired by so many around the world, not just in the basketball community, in sports and outside of sports. So I wanted to open up the show because today is exactly 1 year from the tragic death of Kobe and Gianna Bryant, his daughter, Gigi, as well as 7 other. We can't forget about them. There were 7 other people that were on that helicopter that died a year ago today. Our hearts and prayers are with all of those loved ones, that all the people that have lost loved ones to that tragic situation that happened a year ago. And this day is extremely tough. It really is. It's hard to put into words. And, there are few instances in life where the majority of the population or majority of the people can remember what they were doing or where they were when someone passed away. It's very rare to be able to remember exactly where you were, what you were doing when you heard that this person passed away, right? You think of, for instances, you think of an assassination of a public figure or 9/11 or when a family member passes away, a family member you're super, super close to. These are instances that we remember because it scares our psyche, right? It messes up our psyche. It's traumatic events. And I'm not trying to overstate this. I'm not, the Trade Center getting hit, the 9/11 thing was awful. I'm not saying that is what this is, right? But if you're an American sports fan, you will always remember where you were standing, what you were doing when Kobe passed away. It shook up your mind. It shook up your psyche. It shook up my mind. It shook up my psyche. There's no doubt about that. Because Kobe had that impact, that much of an impact on all of us, even if we didn't know him. I mean, we all have crumbled up a piece of paper and shot it into a trash can while screaming Kobe. Even if you missed it by 5, 10, 15 feet, you still said, Kobe. We all have had those memories. We've all done that. It truly speaks to the impact Kobe had on so many people's lives and the impact he had on sports, not basketball, not even close to just basketball, the sports world in general. I mean, how often do we use the phrase today, Mamba mentality, when talking about an athlete that is ferocious, that is hardworking, someone that looks across their opponent and says, you're not going to beat me today. I don't care how this game ends, it's going to end with me beating you. We use that all across sports, not just in basketball, and that is because of Kobe. Because that's how Kobe went into every single battle, how he went into every single game. He had that type of impact on so many people. And today's a very sad day. It really is. He was taken away too soon, but his impact and his legacy will never be forgotten. Ever. Ever. And look, I just want to open up the show with that. It's hard to transition to football after that, but that's what we're going to have to do. And I appreciate you all letting me open the show that way and let me, kind of, talk about what Kobe meant to you, talk about your favorite moments. Look, hit me up on Twitter. Where were you when you found out the news that Kobe passed away? What were you doing? What were your thoughts? Let me know at Kayvon_sports. These things are good to get out, right? It's good to talk about it because this is something that can kind of bring us together, even though that, it's sad, but we all were Kobe fans because we all were basketball fans. And if you're a basketball fan, then you're a Kobe fan because basketball would not be the same if it wasn't for Kobe and what he did to the sport and what he did to all sports. All sports. Real quick, I'll tell you my favorite Kobe memory. It was the Achilles game against the Warriors. And, this is kind of a bad memory, but to me, it really embodies the persona of Kobe Bryant. He tore his Achilles in the middle of the game. He got up. He walked to the free throw line. He tore it while he got fouled, remember. He walked to the free throw line. He hit 2 free throws, shot them both, made them both with a torn Achilles. He wouldn't go out of the game. You know how bad a torn Achilles hurts? He could have easily walked away. He could have easily walked to the locker room, said someone else has to shoot these shots. He shot them, he made them both, and then he hobbled to the bench with a torn Achilles. And look, I could have pulled out when he won his first championship, or when he won his first championship without Shaq, and won 2 with back-to-back with Pau Gasol. All of those were great, but doesn't that just embody Kobe Bryant? Someone that is fierce, he doesn't give up, he works hard, and he's gonna outwork you, and he's gonna beat you because he just cares more. He just cares more, and he puts his blood, sweat, and tears into everything he does. He will not cheat you. He never did cheat us. He never did. As fans, he never did cheat us. And when we have, in today's day, where we have this whole load management thing and a lot of players resting and stuff like that, you really look back and you say, wow, I mean, Kobe Bryant, he played as much as he could. He played as much as he could to the point where his body literally just shut down. And that was Kobe Bryant. So let me know your thoughts at Kayvon_sports, at Kayvon_sports. Really, really sad day. Thoughts and prayers out to Vanessa, his wife, his other daughters out there, and all of the family members that were affected, and loved ones and friends that were affected by that horrible, horrible helicopter crash. So as I said here, tough transition, but we're going to do it. We're going to talk some football here, and we spent a lot of time on the opening, breaking this down, and then talking about Kobe. So I'm just going to get into a little bit of my thoughts here on the Green Bay Packers, Kansas City Chiefs game. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll really unload it coming up in segment number 2, okay? So there has been so much talk about which coaching staff screwed up the most, right? So we were just talking about how everyone has their sports media outlets, right? Whether it's ESPN, Fox Sports, iHeartRadio, whatever, Sirius XM, maybe your local ESPN or local radio affiliate where you have your local radio shows. I know I'm a big fan of our local shows here in Raleigh, North Carolina. So you have those, and the discussions are always, different but similar, right? Maybe different takes, maybe different looks, maybe different angles of the takes, but overall the same topic is there. And the same topic that was being just repeated after, every single show was how much Matt LaFleur screwed up. Matt LaFleur, the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. And look, all about how he should have gone for it on 4th down. It was ridiculous that he took the ball out of Tom Brady's hands and he put it in, took the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands and he put it in Tom Brady's hand, this, that. And look, I'm not disagreeing with that, okay? Yes, LaFleur should have gone for it on 4th down, on 4th and 8, 4th and goal. There is no doubt about that. I'm not questioning that. I'm not here to do that. But what I'm not hearing from all of these other shows, and I don't understand why is Aaron Rodgers getting a pass? Why is this all about Matt LaFleur? Okay, so follow along here with me. When you look at both games, the NFC Championship game and the AFC Championship game, okay? When you look at both of those games, what team had a better shot at beating the other in either game, right? So if you look at the 2 games, one game was clear and obvious, and that was Kansas City was just better than Buffalo. Buffalo was not going to beat Kansas City. They were just too good. And that's not disrespecting Buffalo. They had a tremendous season. It just speaks to how good Kansas City is. So when I asked that question, what team had a better shot at beating the other, it was clearly Green Bay and Tampa Bay, right? The 2 Bay teams. Green Bay had a great shot at beating Tampa, and Tampa had a great shot at beating Green Bay. And that's why it was such a great game. That's why that was the best game of the weekend. So again, the coaching staff from both Buffalo and Green Bay, they made mistakes. They made brutal mistakes. But to me, the person that made the biggest mistakes is getting the biggest pass. And that is Aaron Rodgers. Why is Aaron Rodgers not getting blame? And I'm going to tell you what I mean by this. I'm going to tell you why I'm giving Aaron Rodgers the most blame for what happened with Green Bay. And I'm going to do it on the other side. Don't go anywhere. This is the GSMC Football Podcast. I am your host, Kayvon Izami. We're going to take a quick break, real quick, one commercial break, come right back, and we're going to dive into this, all right? I'm telling you, you're going to want to hear this because you haven't heard it yet. We'll be right back after this.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome to segment number 2. Welcome to segment and quarter number 2. It is Tuesday, January 26th, 2021 is underway, and we are now 2 weeks away from the Super Bowl happening in Tampa Bay, Florida. Can you believe that? First team ever, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, to host a Super Bowl in their own stadium. That's pretty wild. It's kind of crazy, right? It's kind of unfortunate. I feel bad for Tampa fans. They have the biggest drought in the NFL, the second biggest drought in the NFL in terms of not making the playoffs, right? The Cleveland Browns were number 1. Tampa was number 2. The last time Tampa made the playoffs was 2007. Ironically, both of those teams, Cleveland and Tampa, broke that drought this year, which is great. They both made the playoffs, and they both won a game, and in Tampa's case, a couple of games, 3 to be exact, which is phenomenal. And first time ever Tom Brady has made the Super Bowl as a wild card team. So when you look at it and you say, it's unfortunate because they haven't made the playoffs since 2007. They haven't won a playoff game since 2002 when they actually won the Super Bowl with John Gruden as their head coach. Remember Keyshawn Johnson, wide receiver, that great defense that they had a lot of really big-time studs on that defensive side of the ball. That was the last time that they've won a playoff game, back in 2002, right? John Gruden since then has completely retired. He was like one of the best football analysts we've seen, doing Monday Night Football for so many years, and now he is back coaching, but for the Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders, excuse me. So that's that long, right? It's been a long time. So now they finally make the playoffs. Not only do they finally make the playoffs, but they go on this remarkable 3-game all-on-the-road run, right? They win at Washington, they win at New Orleans, they win at Green Bay, 2 of the toughest places to win in New Orleans and Green Bay. And now finally they make it to the Super Bowl again, and they can barely have fans, right? I mean, there will be fans there. It won't be nearly as full. A lot of them, which is so awesome by the NFL, are going to be doctors and nurses and healthcare staff who have been vaccinated. The NFL is giving out a boatload of tickets for free to those members who have just been on the front lines working their butt offs to keep to help us and keep us alive. So that's really cool by the NFL that they're doing that. But think about it. It's just it's unfortunate, but that's 2020. That's 2020, 2021, and that's what COVID has done. But hey, congratulations to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, to their fans. Congratulations to Kansas City and their fans. And it's going to be one heck of a Super Bowl. So before we get into all that, though, I want to get back into what I was saying with Green Bay here, right? Okay, and what I was saying when we went into break. I hear all these people just crushing Matt LaFleur, just crushing him. How does he not go for it on fourth down? Why in the world did he kick a field goal? Just crushing Mike Pettin. How can he call a single high and leave Kevin King all by himself, one-on-one, right before halftime where Tom Brady throws that Hail Mary to Scotty Miller? I get it. All these points are right. It was a terrible play call. It was a terrible defensive play call to have a single high and play man-on-man, even though Kevin King was quarterback staring like Tom Brady was some supermodel, and he just let Scotty Miller Wright go behind him. Still, it was a terrible play call. It was. It was a terrible idea to not go for it on fourth down. I'm not disagreeing with any of these. These are facts. These are correct. I am with you guys on that. But we're still missing the big picture here. We're still letting someone get a massive hall pass when the ball was still in their hands numerous times. But they couldn't get it done. And that's Aaron Rodgers. And it's not like this was. And that's why I asked you guys, when you looked at both of the games, right? Which game showed you that either team had a shot? And it was the first game. It was the NFC Championship game. Literally, that could have gone any way. And I told you guys that before the game. Remember, I said my preseason prediction was Tampa Bay versus Kansas City. You can go back and listen to it. The title of it, I went and did it just to show that I was right. I went and did it. The title is called Prediction Season. It's back in September, right before week 1. I picked those teams to go to the Super Bowl. But I said on the show on Saturday before the games kicked off on Sunday that I'm picking Kansas City and I want Tampa to win, so my prediction is right, but I don't know if they will. I said I don't know and I don't think they will. I think Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers are playing too good. But it's too close for me to predict. It's going to be too close of a game. I said that, and I was right. Either team could have and should have won that game. Really. On the other hand, Kansas City was the right team to win in the other game. They were just better than Buffalo. Hands down, they were. It was that simple. So, again, why does it feel like, to me, Rodgers has gotten a free pass? I don't understand why. I mean, follow along here with me, okay? First of all, he threw an awful pick at the end of the first half, right before the end of the first half, that ended up leading to that Tampa Bay Hail Mary touchdown that I talked about. Then at the end of the game, Rodgers has the ball. It's 3rd and 8. 9 out of 10 times in his career, he is scrambling and running right towards that orange pylon when he sees that much green grass in front of him. And 9 out of 10 times, he gets into the end zone and he is doing the discount double check for State Farm into the end zone. Because 9 out of 10 times, he is that good, he is that quick, he's that elusive with his feet where he is able to get into the end zone or at least pick up a good chunk of yards when he sees open grass in front of him like that. And even if he doesn't get the touchdown, say he gets half of it, right? Let's say he gets 4 yards. So then the Packers are sitting there at fourth down with 4 yards to go instead of 8 yards to go. They're only 4 yards out of the end zone. Then I believe Matt LaFleur would go for it at that point. I truly believe that. And look, again, Matt LaFleur should have gone from it even at the 8-yard line. I'm not disagreeing. But to his point, which he talked about after the game, they had 3 tries. They had 3 tries from the 8-yard line. It's not like they just got down to the 8-yard line and there was only a couple seconds left on the clock and they just panicked and didn't want to go for it. No, they've been at the 8-yard line. They had 3 tries at the 8-yard line, and they didn't gain a single yard in any of those tries. So they still had 3 timeouts left, plus the 2-minute warning, so they had 4 timeouts left. So look, I understand why he kicked the field goal. Should he have? No, of course not. You don't put the ball in Tom Brady's hands and hope that you get it back. You just don't do that. That's nonsense. But let me also ask you this. Hasn't Aaron Rodgers earned the right to waive Matt LaFleur off? Hasn't Rodgers done enough and proven enough that he can be trusted in these scenarios? So, if Rodgers does what Peyton Manning did to Jim Caldwell back in the day, and he looks at LaFleur and he says, no. Keep Matt Crosby, our kicker, on the sideline. We're going for this. You're one of the best players to ever play the game. You're one of the most talented players to ever play the game. You're about to win your 3rd regular season MVP. You can make that call to stay on the field in that moment. You have earned that right. So I don't understand it. Why is Aaron Rodgers getting this massive hall pass? Why am I the only one coming on here criticizing him? Coming into this game, I told you guys. I said I picked Tampa Bay as my preseason team to represent in the NFC in the Super Bowl. And I said as much as I want to be right, I don't know if they can beat this Green Bay team. And I don't know if they can beat Aaron Rodgers. I really had no clue how that game was going to go. It was that close of a game for me. I had a great feeling that Kansas City was going to win. I didn't know about this game. There were so many mistakes made by Green Bay. There were so many mistakes, okay? Look, I'm not putting this all on Rodgers. There were so many mistakes, allowing a touchdown right before halftime. That defensive play call by Mike Pettin was atrocious. We've been over it. Everyone knew Tom Brady was throwing that ball deep, and they still call a single high, leaving Kevin King all alone. But it's not just on Pettin, though. Why was Kevin King watching Tom Brady, again, like Brady is some supermodel and he just can't keep his eyes off of him? He was just staring at Tom Brady. Scotty Miller goes right behind him, touchdown. Then the fumble, right out of halftime. Aaron Jones gets hit, fumbled. There were so many errors by the Packers. There's no doubt about that, but you know what? There's also a myriad of errors by Tampa Bay. Tom Brady threw three interceptions in the second half alone. Ladies and gentlemen, if you told me before the game that Brady, the greatest player of all time, was going to throw 3 picks, 3 interceptions in the second half alone, I would have said, let me go check how much I have in my savings because I think I want to put it all on Green Bay. I would have said the Bucs would have had no chance to win that game if he throws 3 interceptions. But you know what the difference is? The Packers had 2 turnovers. The Bucs scored 14 points on those 2 turnovers. Every time the Packers turned the ball over, the Bucs got in the end zone. They took advantage of the turnovers. While the Packers, on the other hand, they scored 1 touchdown on 3 mistakes by the Bucs. So why are we blaming Matt LaFleur again? Huh? You're telling me one of the greatest QBs to ever play this game has 3 extra possessions, but all he can do is muster up 3 points? You're giving Aaron Rodgers 3 extra possessions in a title game, but he could only muster up 7 points. And look, the Tampa Bay defense was outstanding. Devin White is becoming one of the best linebackers in the league in front of our eyes. That secondary is becoming better and better, and Todd Bowles deserves another shot at being a head coach because what he has done with this young defense is tremendous. I mean, Jason Pierre-Paul, Ndamukong Suh, Shaquille Barrett, they were all over Rodgers. I get that. They were hitting him left and right. But it's Aaron Rodgers. He's supposed to rise above, and when it's a close game like that, and when you're getting extra possession by extra possession by extra possession just gifted to you, you can't score 7 total points. And then, after all that being said, you're still within 8 points, and you get your team down to the goal line, and you have 1, 2, 3 shots, and at 3rd and goal from your 8-yard line, there's a bunch of green grass right in front of you. Run the football. Run the football. Get some yards. Make it 4th and 4. Make it 4th and 3. Maybe you make it to a touchdown. It was poor decision making by Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers choked this game away. And look, I'm not looking to blast Aaron Rodgers here tonight. I'm really not. I know it sounds like that's my intentions, like I'm coming on here to blast him, but I'm not. I'm just telling you what my eyes saw. Because I believe what I'm saying is legit. I mean, my whole thing is, why is he not getting any blame? That's my whole point here. If he scrambles there on 3rd and goal, there's no thought on a field goal because you're actually gaining yards. Go back and watch it, folks. I've done it a million times, and it's been more frustrating every single time I've watched it because I look at it and I say he scores there. It's so open. He scores the touchdown there. I completely believe he scores. If not, if I'm wrong, at worst, he's at the 4-yard line. At worst, it's now 4th and 2. Or at the worst, it's now 4th and 4. Because I tell you what, there's no possible way that he doesn't at least gain 1 or 2 yards. There's no possible way. And in all likelihood, he's gaining way more than that. You think Matt LaFleur is kicking a damn field goal when you're 2 yards away from the end zone? There is a thing called an action and a reaction. And nobody has been bringing this up. They show it on TV, and then everyone goes straight into the field goal talk. Why are we not talking about the decision by Aaron Rodgers to throw across your body into double coverage on 3rd down? Why are we not talking about that? Why are we not talking about the interception that Rodgers threw right before halftime? Instead, it's terrible, terrible defensive call by Mike Pettin. He has to go. He's got to be fired. Yeah, well, it was a terrible call by Rodgers to put them in that situation. I just don't get it. I don't get it. And again, I'm not here to rip Aaron Rodgers. I'm not. I'm just pointing out what my eyes are telling me, what my eyes told me, what my notepad told me when I was writing and watching the game. And I'm baffled when I keep listening to all these shows and no one is pointing this out. Look, the bottom line is Rodgers just didn't play well enough to win that game. And it's just that plain and simple. It is. And you know what? We can totally... I am totally with you that if the Packers organization didn't botch this draft last year so much, maybe he doesn't have to put the team on his back. But because of the situation that he's in, because this organization goes out and drafts Jordan Love with their first-round pick. Rodgers had to put the team on his back. And you know what? He's good enough to do it. You know why? Because he brought him within 5 points. You know why? Because he was the best quarterback all regular season. You know why? Because he's about to win the MVP in a couple of weeks. You know why? Because they were the number 1 seed in the NFC. What else do you want? Okay, we can't just say, hey, he had a great season. He put the team on his back. Oh, but now it's playoff time. He doesn't have to do that. No, he does have to do that. And he had every chance to do that, and he wasn't able to. Now, where I will come to Rodgers' defense, and this is a topic that a lot of people have been talking about, and a lot of people have been ripping Aaron Rodgers for, is what happened after the game. The press conference after the game. And we're going to take a quick break and we're going to get into that. But I completely agree. And I am completely okay with what Aaron Rodgers did after the game. I will stand up here and be real with you guys on how he played during the game. And I will tell you that I think he deserves more blame than Matt LaFleur or anyone else out there. And I said, look, they screwed up. The coaching staff of the Packers and even a lot of the players, that they all screwed up. It was a team effort of making errors over and over. But that's why Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. Because he was good enough to get them close enough to overcome all of those errors. And when you're that good, well, I'm sorry, but I have faith in you to overcome everything and win the football game. Maybe that's unfair. Maybe my expectations are too high. But that's how I see it. Now, on the flip side, he has every right to do what he did after the game. And if you guys haven't heard what he said after the game, we will play it for you. And I will tell you why I am totally fine with what he said. And it's actually completely accurate what he said and why he said it. We'll be right back after this. This is the GSMC Football Podcast. So much more to dive into. Rodgers, after game press conference, Brady, why he is the greatest of all time, the Bucs, Kansas City Chiefs, so much more on this busy Tuesday. I'm your host, Kayvon Izami. This is the GSMC Football Podcast. Don't touch that dial. Don't go anywhere. We've got so much more to talk about right after this.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to segment number 3. Segment number 3, this is the GSMC Football Podcast. I am your host, Kayvon Izami. Hope everyone's having a lovely day, lovely week, and really just looking forward to a great Super Bowl. Couple weeks of breaking it down, talking off-season moves, breaking down the game plan. How can the Chiefs be stopped? How important is that front four of the Bucs going to be? Listen, that front four needs to get as much attention as possible these next 2 weeks before the game, because what they did to Drew Brees, what they did to Aaron Rodgers is why they are going to be the first team to ever have a home Super Bowl game, right? Look, Tom Brady, absolutely great, especially in the second half of the Saints game and the first half of the Packers game, okay? Great, legendary GOAT status quarterback. There's no doubt about that. But don't get it wrong. The defense is why the Bucs are here. The defense, the way they're able to get pressure on these quarterbacks, the way they were able to disrupt Aaron Rodgers, sack him 5 times, hit him 15 times, make him uncomfortable, not let him break free of the pocket and run the ball. What Todd Bowles is doing with that defense is amazing, and he deserves a head coaching job in the future, and this defense deserves a lot of praise. And I'm telling you, it's just like both teams are going to have the same game plan, okay? Both teams are going to have that game plan of, we have to get pressure on the quarterback. We're talking about 2 quarterbacks here that are snipers, right? That are just they're surgeons, I should say. They will pick you apart left and right if you give them the time. I mean, they will carve you up all day and make you a nice little meal out of you in front of millions of people on national TV in the biggest game of the NFL season. Unless you disrupt them, unless you make them uncomfortable, unless you put them on their back, unless every time they snap the ball and look up, they have 1 second to throw it. Otherwise, Ndamukong Suh is in their face. Otherwise, Chris Jones is in their face. Frank Clark, Shaquille Barrett. As important as the Patrick Mahomes and the Tom Bradys of the world are, and the Tyreek Hills and the Travis Kelce, and trust me, they are important. But those guys, the front 4 right there, the ones that are really going to be trying to disrupt pressure and disrupt those quarterbacks, that's what is going to determine the outcome of this game. And the Chiefs are now going to be down 2 starting offensive linemen. That is something that we're going to get into a lot that does not need to be overlooked, okay? They've been without Mitchell Schwartz for the last 8 games, and they've been able to recover fine. But now they lose their starting long-time offensive guard, Eric Fisher. And that is to Achilles. You remember he tore his Achilles in the AFC Championship game last week. That is a huge loss for this team. That is an unfortunate loss for this team. And it's going to be tough to bounce back from that. It really is going to be tough to bounce back from that. So we will see how things go. Again, what we're going to do, we have 2 weeks to break that down. So we'll get it all into that matchup over and over numerous times. But I want to stay focused here, and in just a little bit, we're going to talk about Tom Brady and why he is the greatest of all time. And I'm going to tell you the moment I realized he was the greatest of all time, and then what he did, this weekend and this season has just it's ended a debate if there ever was one. Let's put it that way. But we'll get into all of that in just a bit. I want to get back to Aaron Rodgers here because I told you guys going into this segment, right before the commercial break that. And I was hard on Rodgers, but I didn't come on this show to just completely destroy him. I just think that I just don't understand why he's getting a pass. I understand why people are crushing Matt LaFleur. I understand why people are crushing Mike Pettit. I get it. Those were mistakes. And I'm not sitting here telling you that they weren't mistakes, right? Those were big-time mistakes. But Rodgers is getting a pass that I just don't understand why. He didn't play well. He didn't play to Aaron Rodgers' standard. And that's why I put most of the blame on him. Now, where I do not blame Rodgers and where I see all these people also coming at Rodgers saying, oh, this was unnecessary. Why did he make these comments? He's being, sensitive. He's being a drama king. He's trying to bring, some conversation to his future and to this whole issue. And I disagree with all of that. And if you guys haven't heard, after the game, Rodgers, who is emotional, He said he was just in the locker room crying with his teammates 5 minutes earlier. Then he has to go out and answer questions. And that's why press conferences are so crucial for the media. And for guys like me and, guys on TV and sports radio who does this for a living. Think about it. You're interviewing someone after one of the biggest losses or the biggest wins of their career. They're emotional. And you're going to get raw content from them when they're emotional like that. And Rodgers was being honest, which we should appreciate, because a lot of times we don't get honesty from these athletes. And we always sit up here criticizing them, saying, stop with the cliches, give us the honest talk. And now Rodgers gives us the honest talk, and we're criticizing him for it. What? How does that make sense? Rodgers was candid, he was honest, and he just said what is true, what is facts. And if you didn't hear it, this was the quote. After the game, Rodgers said, and I quote, "There's a lot of unknowns going into the offseason now. I'm going to have to take some time away for sure and clear my head and just kind of see what's going on with everything. There's a lot of unknowns, including myself, but it's pretty tough right now." Okay, so what he's clearly saying is his future with Green Bay is unknown. And I hear so many people, how could he say that? He just had an MVP season. He's gonna win the MVP in a couple of weeks. Like, he just took them to another conference championship game, and now he's coming up here saying, he might want out of Green Bay. He never said that. Did he ever say he wants out of Green Bay? Don't misquote what he said. He just said that he doesn't know where his future stands right now. And guess what? He's not lying. You know why? Because the organization drafted a quarterback in the first round. And ladies and gentlemen, they didn't just draft a quarterback in the first round. They traded up to draft that said quarterback, whose name is Jordan Love. I don't care how good you are. I don't care how good of a season you just had. It does not matter when your organization drafts a quarterback in the first round, when your organization trades up a couple of picks to draft that quarterback in the first round, when last year you went to the NFC Championship game, this exact very spot, and everyone said they're close, but they need some more weapons. They're missing a couple pieces. And instead of giving those weapons, instead of adding those pieces, they draft for the future. So it's normal for Aaron Rodgers to stand up there and say, hey, look, they drafted my predecessor. They drafted the person that's coming to take over my spot. So yeah, you're damn right I don't know what my future is right now. How can I stand up here and say, oh, I'm going to 1,000% be back next season? It doesn't matter. They didn't just draft a quarterback. No. The Green Bay Packers deserve what Aaron Rodgers just said. The Green Bay Packers are in this situation because of one team and one team only, and that's themselves. The only blaming should be to the front office, the owners, and the Packers are obviously, they don't have a single owner. They're owned by the city. The finger pointing should be to the organization. Aaron Rodgers has every right to stand up there and say what he said because he's being honest. And it's true. I mean, he's being honest, and it's so perfect that he said that, because this organization has let him down over and over. Look, I told you guys, I blame him for the game. I do. I blame him for the game. But I blame the organization for everything else. I blame the organization for everything else. You guys have one of the most talented quarterbacks in NFL history. He just had one of the greatest seasons of his career, and he has a really good wide receiver in Devontae Adams, a really good running back in Aaron Jones, who, by the way, is a free agent, and I know for a fact they're not going to sign him back. And then that's about it. Yeah, look, Allen Lazard, great blocking wide receiver, has some good hands here and there. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, he's a good, decent, number 3 wide receiver. And Robert Tanya's a good tight end. But if you're talking about a team that wins the Super Bowl, I mean, look at the other side of the field. Tampa Bay had Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Cameron Brate, Rob Gronkowski, Scooter McGee, Scotty Miller, and they have Antonio Brown, who was not actually in the game because he was hurt. Like, what? They have so many weapons that one of the best receivers of the last 10 years in Antonio Brown didn't play in the game, and they still won. You know what would have happened if Devontae Adams didn't play in that game? The Packers probably would have lost by 14 points or more. So, yeah, when Rodgers stands up there and says, look, I don't know, there's a lot of uncertain questions, and I'm one of those questions because, oh, that's right, the organization drafted somebody to take my place eventually. So I think it's pretty normal for me to speculate, well, when is that eventually? Is it this year? Is it next year? Is it 2 years from now? I mean, eventually you have to see what Jordan Love has, right? You can't just draft him and never play him unless, and this is the key point here, unless the Green Bay Packers are willing to stand up there and say, we made a mistake. We should have never drafted Jordan Love. Rodgers clearly has a bunch of time left to play. He clearly is showing that he is not getting old whatsoever. He's still one of the best quarterbacks in the entire NFL. We should have never drafted Jordan Love, so we're willing to trade him. Are the Packers ready to do that? Are the Packers willing to do that? Can they put their egos aside and accommodate Aaron Rodgers? Because if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm doing two things. I'm either asking to get out, I'm asking for a trade, and I don't think he will do that, or I'm asking for a new contract. And you say, well, what would that do? Because Rodgers has 2 years left on his deal. As of after this coming year, so next year, they technically can get out of his contract without having a big cap hit, right? So if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm saying, you know what? I want a new contract. I want to be the highest paid quarterback in the league, and I want to be tied with you guys for the next 4 or 5 years. So then I know my future is set. I am stuck here, and I'm going to be a Packer here. And if you guys don't want to do that, well then okay, I'm going to keep standing up there at the press conference, and I'm going to keep talking about how it's uncertain of how long I'm going to be a Packer, and I'm definitely open to playing at other places, and I understand that this is how the business works, like he's been doing all season. Aaron Rodgers earned another contract. Aaron Rodgers proved that he is not going away anytime soon in terms of his talent. So the Packers should either do two things. One, trade him, or two, stick by his side, pay him, and trade Jordan Love. Okay? Because if you pay him, that means Jordan Love is not seeing the field for at least 3 more years. At least 3 more years. By the time that happens, his contract will be up. And you won't know to pay him or not because you would not have seen him play yet. It was such a bad move by the Green Bay Packers. It will go down as one of the worst picks in the history of the NFL. I'm not even kidding. And you guys out there say, well, Kayvon, what if Jordan Love becomes, the next Aaron Rodgers? Okay, well, if that happens, then I'll stand up here and say I was wrong. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We're not going to know if Jordan Love is the next Aaron Rodgers for 4 or 5 years from now, by the way Aaron Rodgers is playing, unless the Green Bay Packers have the stomach to trade Aaron Rodgers or to stand up there and say, we were wrong and we want to trade Jordan Love. Now, do they have the stomach to do either of those? Because if they're smart, if they're able to put their ego aside then they would stand up there and say, we're wrong, and there's no way in hell we're trading Aaron Rodgers. There is absolutely no way. Aaron Rodgers is a Packer. We want him to be a Packer for life. He loves this organization, and we love him. He loves this city, and the people love him, and we want to get him a new Super Bowl. We want to get him another Super Bowl. So to do that, he needs more weapons. And we should have gotten more weapons last year in the draft. We saw Jordan Love. We thought it was a good opportunity, and it looks like we were wrong. And we're happy to say that because we have Aaron Rodgers. And we're happy to say that Aaron Rodgers has a lot more time to play. So, Jordan Love is up for trade. Who wants him? Try and get a second-round pick out of him. That's what needs to happen. That would be the smartest way for the Packers to go. But for all these people that are sitting up there criticizing Aaron Rodgers for being sensitive and making it drama-filled and leaving question marks, he's just telling you guys the truth. I'm sorry, but when you're a player and you see your organization draft another player of your position with the first pick, this wasn't like it was the third pick, the fourth pick, the fifth pick, and it's a backup that they kind of just want Rodgers to train, and maybe one day, if lucky, he could turn into a good quarterback. No, this is a first-round pick, and it's not like he just fell to them. They actually traded up to get him. And then one more thing, guys, and I hate to turn this as a bashing on Jordan Love because he might turn out to be a great quarterback, but this isn't the same thing as what they did with Aaron Rodgers. I've heard so many people, I have friends that are Packers fans, that whenever I criticize this pick, they say, well, Kayvon, this is exactly what the Packers did with Aaron Rodgers. Remember, they had Brett Favre, and we drafted Aaron Rodgers, and everyone hated that pick so much because we love Brett Favre, and look at what Aaron Rodgers turned out to be. You guys, that could not be a more different situation. It could not possibly be a more different situation. Aaron Rodgers was regarded by a lot of very reputable draft analysts and GMs as the best quarterback in that draft. The only reason he fell on draft night was just, we have no clue why. Some people didn't like his attitude, but a lot of people thought there's a good chance he would go top 5. And if you remember, it was a massive storyline that this guy was falling in the draft. It was one of those awkward storylines where the camera just kept showing on Aaron Rodgers. They just kept showing his face. It was awkward. It was one of those because he was supposed to go that high. That was not the same as Jordan Love. Aaron Rodgers was coming out of Cal University as a stud. Jordan Love was coming out of Utah State as the guy that just led the entire NCAA, the entire college football landscape in interceptions. Okay? We don't know if Jordan Love can even play football in the NFL, guys. It's not like he just fell to the Packers. He was known as the third or fourth, he was known as the fourth, I think, QB. Yeah, he was known as the fourth QB in that draft class. It was Joe Burrow, it was Justin Herbert, and it was Tua. And then it was Jordan Love. And he was falling, and and not even falling, he was going down, and the Packers traded up to get him. It's a disgrace. It was an awful pick. It was an absolutely awful pick, and because of that, if Aaron Rodgers wants to sit up there and say his future is uncertain just like a lot of other guys here, well, he's telling the truth. And maybe we should start to get used to athletes telling the truth because it's pretty cool to hear them do that. And I know that I really do appreciate that, Rodgers. This is the GSMC Football Podcast. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk some Tom Brady here. And I have a question for you all about Mr. Tom Brady, about the greatest to ever do it. Ladies and gentlemen, have we ever seen a divorce happen that has been more convincing of which side to pick. I mean, usually when a divorce happens, it takes a couple years to decide which side really had the best of that. Which side is the most successful now? It's only taken 1 year for us to realize that Tom Brady is not just winning this divorce with Bill Bellichek, but he is dominating it. What does that all mean? We're going to talk about it on the GSMC Football Podcast right after this.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
Alrighty then, welcome ladies and gentlemen to the fourth and final segment of this Tuesday podcast. We really appreciate everyone that's tuning in, wherever you are, however you're listening, and whenever you're listening. We really, really do appreciate it. I mean, making us a little bit a part of your day puts a big smile on our face, and I hope it puts a big smile on yours because you enjoy the content. We hope you're staying safe out there. Big news, North Carolina might get some snow this week. That would be awesome. We love a good snowstorm here because we don't get it often. So really, really hoping we get one here. Just a little, it makes it fun. I know all you guys up north that get snow all the time, you're probably like, oh, you really don't want that. But hey, it's a little exciting for us down south here when we get a nice little snowfall. So it's predicted for that to happen on Thursday. We will see if it does. And it's sad because guess what? This upcoming weekend is the first weekend where we won't have football in the last 6-7 months. And that sucks. It does. But the positive side of it, the weekend after that, we will have the biggest game of all season, the Super Bowl. Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be playing host. That's right, host, the first team ever to host a Super Bowl to the defending champs, the Kansas City Chiefs. Can they go back-to-back? The first team to be able to go back-to-back Super Bowls since who? Trivia. Tom Brady and the New England Patriots back when they did it in the 2000s. And look, it's going to be tough, both sides. I really think it's going to be a great matchup. I think it's going to be a close game. And I don't think it's going to be as high-scoring as some people think. A lot of times in the Super Bowl, it's more of a low-scoring game because there's a lot of nerves that go into it. Usually teams get off to a slow start, and then things start to pick up. A lot better defense, a lot less scoring. I do think that might be the case here. We will see. But again, so much time to talk about that and talk about really more of... We'll have some guests on, too. We'll interview some big-time guests this week. We don't do a lot of guests just because our company likes to stay focused, and you guys hear one voice like that, which I understand, and it gives me great practice to talk. But we'll have a lot of guests on this week, next week to debate some of, get their picks, debate some of the matchups, what should we look for. We'll talk a lot of gambling, a lot of prop bets. The Super Bowl is so fun. Obviously, be sensible, be smart. If you're going to gamble, do it smart. Do not gamble anything that you can't lose, anything that you don't have. Just make it fun, make it smart, be sensible. But look, the Super Bowl, big gambling time, a lot of prop bets, a lot of fun stuff, coin toss, all that stuff. So we'll talk about that. I'll give you guys my favorite prop bets, some of the ones that are actually easier to win than the others. There's some crazy ones out there that you really have like zero chance of winning. So we'll give you some more breakdowns of that. And then, of course, I will actually pick the game and who I like to win as we get much closer to Super Bowl Sunday in 2 weeks. And we've been through a lot today, right? I mean, a lot of focus on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, and rightfully so, because they were one of the best teams, if not the best team all year. They were definitely the best team in the NFC all year. They were. They had the number 1 seed. It was Aaron Rodgers' first time ever getting to play at home for an NFC championship game. He was always going on the road, and they were playing fantastic football. They beat up on a Los Angeles Rams team that had the best defense in the league. And the Bucs, they were playing good football too, but they were also kind of just cruising by these, or, sneaking by these opponents that they were playing, right? So a lot of people thought this was the Packers' year. This was Rodgers' year to finally get back, and it just didn't work out. So there's going to be a lot of conversations about Rodgers and about the Packers and LaFleur and everything that happened. But I fully predict Rodgers will be back in that Packers uniform next year. I don't think that the Green Bay Packers, they've made some mistakes, but they're not stupid enough to let him go. And hopefully they'll do what's right for their franchise and what's right for Rodgers. And that is keeping with Rodgers, giving him a new contract, making sure he feels like he is wanted there and he's actually accepted there and he's going to be there for a long time. You see, when you draft someone to take your place, look, guys, we're all human. It could be, you could be the best quarterback in the world. You could be the best worker in the world. Take it out of sports. But if your boss brings in someone that does your exact same job and they're a younger version of you, that's going to bring thoughts into your head. I mean, we are all human, right? That's going to question, what am I going to be fired? Am I going to be traded? Am I going to be let go? But I just had this great season. But boss, I just brought in this many sales for you. I've been doing this and this for you. Like, I'm one of your best employees, if not your best. Why are you bringing this person in? Oh, well, we're looking for the future. Yeah, but I still have a long ways to go. What do you mean you're looking for the future? I just got you to the NFC Championship game last year. And now I got you again this year. So, of course, Rodgers is going to question, am I really going to be a Packer for life, right? And that's okay. We're all human. We all would have that thought if that happened to us. And that's totally understandable. So we'll see what happens. And again, I don't think he should. I don't think he will be going anywhere. I think he will be a Packer, and hopefully the organization will do the right thing and sign him to a longer deal. All right, so I want to look at Tom Brady here, okay? Because what Tom Brady has done is absurd, right? I mean, think about this. He's come to a new team. He's been with one system for 20 years. The same offense, the same system, the same head coach, the same routine for 20 years. And now, at 43 years old, he goes to a new team. And at that new team, in 1 year, a completely new system, a system where at one point him and the head coach were kind of clashing a bit, a system that really doesn't work that great to his strengths in terms of the no risk it, no biscuit, because Brady, while he can throw it deep downfield, he's definitely more effective of when he's just slicing you up and hitting you with these short dime throws across the middle, on the outside, stuff like that. So it took time to get used to. And in 1 year, he has taken the team to the playoffs, something they haven't done since 2007. He's won a playoff game, something they haven't done since 2002. And he's won 3 playoff games, all 3 on the road. And now he will be hosting the final playoff game, which a team has never done before in the history of the NFL. I mean, it's remarkable. It's remarkable that one player can do that. And Bruce Arians said it best after the postgame. He was asked, what did it take to get here? And this is what Bruce Arians said.
For 12 to come down and become a part of this mission and this group, Bruce, how do you describe what he has meant to make this moment a reality?
This trophy, the belief he gave everybody in this organization that this could be done. It only took one man.
It only took one man. Sorry if that was a little scratchy. There was obviously a lot of celebrating in the background when Bruce was talking, but Tom Rinaldi, who is a fantastic, one of the best reporters ever in the sports industry, asked Bruce Arians, what did it take and what does it feel? And he said, this trophy, and it always happened because of one man. It only took one man. Guys, football, we talk about this all the time. It's the biggest team sport in all of sports. There's 53 players that can dress on a roster, right? 53. There's 11 on the offensive side and 11 on the defensive side. You can be the best quarterback ever, but if your defense isn't good, you're not going to get the ball that much. Or you're going to have to do an absurd amount of scoring because you're always getting scored on. Like, it's such a team sport. But Bruce Arians stands up there and says, it only took one man. And he's right. Rodgers is a great quarterback. Mahomes is a great quarterback. Peyton Manning, John Elway, all of these guys, great quarterbacks. But Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. And if you didn't believe it earlier, you have to believe it now. See, I knew Tom Brady was the greatest of all time. I've known it for a long time. I'll tell you the exact moment I knew it. It was when I had my heart broken and stomped on and crushed over and over by him. See, when he was able to come back against my Falcons, that 28-3, that's when I immediately said, I turned to all my friends, obviously after I stopped crying and took a couple days to get over it, a couple weeks or months, I should say. But once I got over that, well, I've never really gotten over it, but once I, have kind of comprehended what has happened, I was able to gather my thoughts and say, that wasn't Bill Bellichek. That wasn't Robert Kraft. That was Tom Brady. Tom Brady came back 28-3 in one quarter. Tom Brady just left a team he's been with for 20 years, and he goes to a team that hasn't made the playoffs since 2007, and he has them in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady is the LeBron James of the NFL. LeBron James goes to Cleveland, they go to the finals. LeBron James goes to Miami, they go to the final all 4 years he's there. He goes back to Cleveland, they go to the finals all 4 years he's there. He then goes to a Lakers team that hasn't made the playoffs in numerous years. They immediately go to the playoffs and win a championship. It's that type of effect. It's the leadership. It's the aurora that is around him, the awe that these players have of him. Tom Brady, listen to this stat, now has more playoff wins since turning 35 than any quarterback ever has in his career. More playoff wins since turning 35 than any quarterback ever has in his entire career. So we could put the New England system crap to bed. Okay? It doesn't exist. It's nonsense. It's always been nonsense. He's great. That's not to say that, systems don't help. And if you guys remember, I talked about this months ago. I explained why Bill Bellichek was having such a tough time this season and Brady wasn't. And it took me this year to really figure out how little systems matter. They matter when they need to matter, because the players matter the most. And this is what I said. I used this exact analogy when we talked about this a couple months ago. You can go look up the show. I said the players can get you on the mountain. The players can get you even halfway up the mountain. And then the system gets you to the top. The system is that extra little boost. And some players are so great, i.e. Tom Brady, LeBron James, that they can get you to the top of the mountain without the great system. That's not saying systems aren't important. I want to be clear there. I think everybody's got a little bit of a system. Everyone has to have a little bit of a system. But the players are what matter most, especially when it's a player like Tom Brady. Because he'll get you up to the mountaintop and he'll stab that knife on top of Mount Everest, that flag, I should say, saying, this is the spot. I made it. I made it to the top. He'll do that. And some years, he might get you halfway up and the system can take you the rest of the half. But he's good enough to get you all to the top. And he showed that this year. But there is now a clear, indisputable effect that Tom Brady leaves or comes to your team. There's a number. What is he worth? Not points per game, but wins per season. So 4 different times with Tom Brady and the Patriots and also now the Bucs, where Tom Brady is a non-starter and then he becomes a starter, right? So they win 5 games. He starts the next year, they win 14. So he's worth 9 wins that with the same exact roster, same coach. Then, remember in 2007 and 8, they win 18 games. That was the year they went undefeated and then lost in the Super Bowl to the Giants. He then gets hurt, right? He tears his ACL the first play of the game, or the first game of the season the next year. He gets hurt, New England wins 11 games. That's a difference of 7 wins right there. They go from 18 to 11. And then this last year, he wins 12 games with New England. They lose in the first round to Tennessee in the playoffs. He leaves. They win 7 games this year. He leaves and becomes a Buck. And he goes and becomes a Buck. And last year, the Bucks had 7 wins last year. Brady comes in, and now they've got 14, maybe even 15. That's 7 wins a year. We've got 4 examples. Tom Brady is worth 7 wins a year. That is insane. The Saints went 8-1 in the last 9 games without Drew Brees. 8-1, ladies and gentlemen. There's literally almost no effect. I mean, if you go look at this Bucs team last year, Bruce Arians was there. Todd Bowles was there. Everything was the same except one man, Brady. He comes in, he's buttoned up, he's polished, people listen to him, people follow him. He changes culture, and it equals wins. And look, this wasn't an easy year. I'm not saying it comes in and it's just, clap your hands, this, that, all together, good to go. No, this was a turbulent season. They were awful. They got destroyed by New Orleans twice. They were awful on Thursday night. They lost to Nick Foles in the boringest offense ever in Chicago on that Thursday night game. They got destroyed again. They lost to the Rams on Monday night. They let Tyreek Hill go for 3 touchdowns in 1 quarter. But they stayed calm. Brady kept them calm. They won 11 games. And they've gone on the road game after game after game in the playoffs and just knocked teams off left and right. And look, there are certain arguments in life, in sports, that you just can't make anymore. That you just can't debate. Right? You just cannot debate these arguments. One, Wayne Gretzky is the best hockey player ever. You sound absolutely stupid if you argue against that. Absolutely stupid. He is the greatest hockey player ever. You just sound dumb if you try and argue against it. There's nobody really even close to Gretzky. Stop arguing it, right? It's the same thing now with Brady. Just stop it. He has more playoff wins since 35 than any other quarterback ever. Like, we're talking about Peyton Manning, We're talking about Dan Marino. We're talking about John Elway. We're talking about some of the best players to ever, Aaron Rodgers, ever play the sport. And he's got more playoff wins than all of them since turning 35. Not his entire career, just since turning 35. I'm telling you. And I'm telling you right now, what he's doing to Bill Bellichek in New England, it's bad. I mean, you can't win a divorce better than Tom Brady has won this divorce. You really can't. You really cannot. He is doing everything to say, look at me, don't look at them, because it was all about me. And the good thing for Bellichek is he has time. He still can prove otherwise. But I'll tell you what, he better turn that team around quick, because right now, even if they don't win the Super Bowl, Brady has looked like he is the reason for everything that happened in New England. And look, we understand that's not the case, okay? We understand Belichick is a mastermind. He's a genius. There are a lot of reasons why they have 6 rings. And maybe if Belichick wasn't there, they would have only had 3 or 4 rings, right? Maybe Belichick really was a reason for 2 of them. I mean, I know for a fact he was for that Rams game, right? That Rams Super Bowl a couple years ago when it was just a whole defensive game. That was Belichick's genius really helping them win that game. But Brady made the crucial throws to get them to the amount of points that they needed to win as well. So look, I'm not discounting everything Belichick has done. But when it comes to this specific conversation, this specific debate of who is better, who meant more to this or to that dynasty, it's not even a debate anymore. It's clearly Brady at this moment. And I don't think that ever changes. Now, the good thing is Belichick's book is not written yet. He still has time to fix it. But he better fix it quick, because Brady is telling everyone, look at me. This is what I wanted to show you guys all along. And he is the greatest to ever do it. This is the GSMC Football Podcast. Thank you all so much for listening. Wow, we're going to have some fun talking football, talking shop, all of this stuff before 2 weeks away where the Super Bowl happens. We can't wait. We'll read out your tweets. We'll read out your predictions. Send them over to me at Kayvon_sports. Thank you for listening to the GSMC Football Podcast, which again is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I would like to ask you that you please remember to subscribe to the show, write a nice review. It really does help us out. Also, if you can, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Enjoy your week. Be safe, and we'll talk to you again on Saturday.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.